with all the other transfer tittle and indeed tattle. Here's our tittle expert, Warren Horton. Hi, Warren.
Thank you. You build me up nicely, Danny.
Well, you're not going to pretend these are concrete facts that you've somehow mined out of the cold, hard ground.
I can give you one fact.
Good.
Juventus have turned out a bid from Manchester United for Paul Pogba.
And I know you want to come in if you're a long run-up about this.
Well, what's interesting there is that for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've all had an idea about the sort of fee United would have to pay to get him. They'd have to break the world record, and to bid 85 million and that be rejected. Maybe Ed Woodward's gone in there on the premise that we know the player wants to join us. We've agreed terms with him and his representative. But you've got to get these deals done.
There's no other buyers as well.
But you shouldn't mess around and he's got to get this deal done as quickly and as cleanly as he can. Pogba's back. He's supposed to be back in Turin on August the 6th. Now, I don't think he's going to want to go back when he's already told the club he wants to leave and return to Manchester. Stop messing about. Just get the fee agreed and get the player back at Manchester United. You talk about a £10.9 million a year salary as well. All that's been agreed. They didn't sort this out with the player.
If it's that old thing, they want 100 million. United are offering 85. United are obviously hoping they'll settle at 90 or 95 and save themselves 5 or 10 million.
What's 5 or 10 million in the grand scheme of this? Well, this sort of fee. Just get on with it. Get the player signed.
And you know what happens now? But Juventus ring somebody they know at Real Madrid, and Real Madrid suddenly announce, "Oh, we're back in the market for a top international midfielder."
We found £100 million.
Yeah, and Manchester United will have to go and pay the full dosh. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for that fact. What other half facts have you got?
I'll give you another one as well.
Oh, he's going.
Georginio Wijnaldum. Spurs have dropped out, and he's on his way to Liverpool, and I think that'll be a really good signing for them. A fee is very, very close to being agreed as well. 13 league goals last season for Newcastle in a disappointing side who
none away
he likes. Georginio Wijnaldum plays when he likes. I mean, he was like that last year.
Not one of those goals away from home, and 4 of them against Norwich.
So what's your point?
I think he showed some good signs, but also some bad signs.
I'm playing.
Whose stats could easily turn into a very nice brochure. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's a good player. I think he'll add to what Liverpool are doing. A bit more dynamism in midfield as well. I think he'd be a good signing. Bearing in mind, £14 million a season ago from PSV Eindhoven as well, and to get around at least 25 million for him would be a pretty good bit of business for Rafa Benitez. I'm sure he'll get that money and be able to reinvest. One of the reinvestments he will be doing is Grant Hanley from Blackburn, their defender. 24, come through the ranks at Blackburn, Scottish international. He looks like he's on his way to Newcastle. Won't happen today, but everything
they've got to buy centre half.
Is very close to being completed as well. And after Matt Sells, Jesus Gomez, Matt Ritchie, I think it's a really good signing, and Dwight Gale as well.
I think they're going to have a good season.
I think they're going to have. I think you're right, Andy. I think with the recruitment already, I think Newcastle, will enjoy. Yes, in the Championship, but I think they'll have a good season.
Scolacini went back to Argentina.
Yeah.
And Stephen Taylor's clearly done.
Retired, I think. Did he retire? He certainly left the club.
He's available. He's on a free transfer.
Who's the boy that came in late last season? Did well in the last. I can't remember his name.
Lascelles, they got him from Nottingham Forest. No, they got to find someone to play with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did well in the last.
Oh yeah, didn't they sign 2 from Nottingham Forest in that deal as well? But he stayed. But
I brought you one, and now you're trying to press me for the other as well.
Yeah, he again another good bit of business for them as well. And going over to Germany, Leroy Sané.
We're still going with All Facts Radio, are we?
Going with another player that we've spoken about, Leroy Sané as well. Again, the report saying that he's told Schalke he wants to move to the Premier League and he wants to move to Manchester City.
Bayern were interested, weren't they? But
yeah, again, you mentioned a long run-up. This has been a long run-up for Pep Guardiola, Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne as well. John Stones, another player he wants, Leroy Sané. All these players from when he agreed, not officially, to go to Manchester City, all on his radar, and all players he wants to get into the club. Talks ongoing there. Talks still ongoing with Everton for John Stones. They've already said we will only consider bids for £50 million above, which suggests he's for sale.
City need fullbacks as well. They need fullbacks and defenders, because although they've got Sanya's getting on a bit, I don't know if Zabaleta.
He's about 27, 28, isn't he?
No, they're all north of 30 now. All our defenders, yeah.
And then on the other side, Kolarov and Clichy didn't really convince at all last year, so they could probably do.
I would agree. They
would
probably look to.
So it's interesting that they're sort of concentrating on attacking weapons when that wasn't their problem last year.
Well, about 6 weeks left, 5 weeks left, so I'm sure they'll look to strengthen in that area as well, or maybe they've got a youngster coming through the ranks. Let's wait and see.
Any more you want to bring our attention?
Kalilou Koulibaly, Napoli defender. Now
he won't be cheap either.
Exactly. Now it just gives you an idea now of where some clubs are with the Premier League money and the investment. Now we are getting reports that Arsenal and Chelsea have shown some real interest. Everton have now entered the race, and we're talking around £46 million to get him out of Napoli as well. So if that does happen, you know, Everton got the new investment from Fahad Moshiri as well. If that happens, that gives you a real indication of where Everton are. Plus, they're going to be spending big, and the nuggets that Steve Walsh picks out as well from France. You know that Everton are moving in the right direction. They're in a good place.
He'll go to Chelsea or Arsenal, I think.
If Lazio have got any decent players, then now's the time to approach them as well, given that they've sold 11 season tickets for the upcoming season. 11.
Absolutely as well.
Yeah.
And just to flip on the Pogba as well, it looks like Nemanja Matic will be one of their options if they do, if and when Pogba does go as well.
Oh, like for like. Why so?
Oh, hang on, 18 months ago you told me Matic was the best player in the Premier League.
He was terrible last year. I don't know what's happened to him.
Warren, thank you very much. Thank you very much for putting up with me the last couple of days. Paul is back tomorrow.
Thank goodness for that.
Following his minor nose job, he'll be back tomorrow to talk about the transfer tittle-tattle.
Transfer window updates on Talk Sport with Soul Station. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday, and Sundays 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. There when you need us.
It's not a football story, it's that incredible golf at Royal Troon.
Yeah, all the back pages. You can tell it's somewhere we've got other sports on the back pages, really.
Don't sound so bitter about it, John.
No, I'm loving it, to be honest with you. Well, it's nearly my holiday time anyway. So it really is a heartwarming story, this one. I mean, it's sort of a heartbreaker, but Henrik Stenson, as sort of all the back page boys, sort of who largely do football, are on golf duty this week, have found a sort of a really nice story about it. Lots of emotion about it. Henrik Stenson on the back of the Sun, Andy Dillon writing here saying that Stenson dedicated the best final round in Open history to a friend of his that died on the eve of the event. So sort of real proper emotion tied in with it. He lost his close friend Mike Gerbich on the eve of the tournament, and says that he was inspired by it, and he's quoted also saying that he felt it was his destiny. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, how kind of that emotion can bring out the best sporting performance, I think, and the inspiration behind great sporting achievements down the years.
It was an amazing. I mean, I'm not a golf aficionado, but you couldn't take your eyes off it after a while, because Mickelson will consider himself unbelievably unlucky. I know I've been trotting out this figure all morning. In 140 of the previous 145 tournaments, his finishing score would have been the winning one. And I know the sport has to have a second-place person, but that is bad luck, isn't it? Because he was great too. Absolutely
astonishing. And they were going blow for blow, weren't they, really? And what I particularly liked about sort of Henrik Stenson, some of the audio clips that you played on here earlier, was the way that he sort of spoke with such warmth and affection for Mickelson, and said, look, beating him makes it even more special, because when he's playing at that level, you realise just how good I had to be.
I think he beat him, didn't he? Going back when Mickelson won a major, I think Stenson come second. So there's always going to be revenge, and he was trying to get one over back on Mickelson.
Stenson's been second or third, I think, 9 times previously in the majors.
So look, it was brilliant to watch, and I didn't see the cricket. I mean, the cricket was good as well. I mean, not because of England didn't win, but
it was a great
certainly
game.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
But I thought the golf was amazing to see the difference between second and third. I mean, 11 shots.
Absolutely astonishing,
wasn't
wasn't it? And I've got to say, we've also unearthed a new hero, haven't we, in Andrew Beef Johnson. And I particularly love a beard. He's rather...
What is the character? We got Little Britain. He's definitely a character.
And how are you going to describe his overall physical condition?
Well, similar to mine.
Well upholstered, I use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superbly upholstered.
Not too bad.
It doesn't matter the way he's...
well put together. No wonder, because basically his golf club here, and I love this, is basically... is full of his favourite cuts of beef, basically. He obviously is a man who loves a steak, and it's one particularly that made me laugh, actually, because one of the guys up there who literally has a steak every day, Jeremy Cross, the chief sports writer on the Daily Star, must have enjoyed this story, because it literally has every cut of beef you can have engraved onto one of his golf clubs here. Ribeye, brisket, sirloin, filet mignon, porterhouse. I love it. T-bone, brilliant, isn't it? Really. Well, he hasn't got that on there. Obviously, that's everyone's favourite.
Do you know what?
cut.
We're going to talk to Andrew, to the beef, as I've learned to call him, in a little while here on the Sports
Big
Breakfast.
Arsenal fan as well, John.
Well, I'd be interested to know what his
yeah.
best local steakhouse is at as well, because he lives in Barnet, apparently.
Do you know the best steakhouse, Danny? If you ever get a chance, Hippodrome.
Really?
Helliot Steakhouse. It's one of the best in London. Absolutely different class.
Where's that?
Hippodrome.
Oh, right, in Leicester Square.
Yeah, Leicester Square, the
Okay,
casino.
well, I have no idea.
Obviously, you don't have to gamble when you go in there, but
Right.
the steakhouse in there is
Says Ray
amazing.
Parlour quickly.
I would never have known that they would serve a steak. I thought you meant
amazing.
somewhere else. Really?
One of
Brilliant.
the best
Okay.
in London.
Right,
So
fantastic.
whenever you get a chance.
I was just going to say, will there be now
You must
a
be
clamour?
getting a free one later.
Will there be a clamour?
I'm not Alan Brazil.
We'll ask Andrew. There'll be a clamour, won't there, for people to say if he was a bit fitter looking, like Stenson, he could probably improve his game. Someone's going to say that, aren't they?
I suppose they are. Yeah.
I'll talk to him about it a little later on.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'll face the same accusations, really, but get a bit fitter. But
So will the Moose be a better newsreader?
As I often
Well,
say,
exactly.
I find it difficult given the shape I am.
No,
criticise,
look, it'll be on it.
But they're professional athletes. I'm not required to do much more than move my mouth, am I?
Well, exactly, and I've got to say, look, I think on the back of the mirror, we've sort of boxed off the shall I say, the other sports, because it was an amazing day yesterday. Of sport in action, really. We won even without him, which sums up the tennis, I think, and sort of Carl Edmonds' triumph, and doing it without Andy Murray, of course.
Fascinating to see that Murray was there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
look, kind of, I'm always banging on about Andy Murray and what a great sort of sporting icon he is. I think he's
The Moose thinks he's a numpty.
Oh, it's
I've had a right go
at
at him about
yeah,
it this
it's
morning.
ridiculous.
Stop that now.
British. I mean, in terms of single British sportsmen and what they've done over the last century, Andy Murray is right up there. It's just unfortunate to be, frankly, in a golden era of tennis. Otherwise, he would have won, a dozen Grand Slams?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an amazing sort of, I think, feat, and I think he's a brilliant, brilliant player. We should be so proud of him, and I love the fact he is so proud of our Davis Cup heroes, that knowing full well that he wasn't going to play, he still goes there to support them and cheer them on to
On
victory.
a really miserable day out there as well.
Yeah, and now, lots of people will say, well, so he should have done, but that wouldn't stop other people not going. And I think that
you've only got to look at
the
look
fact
at the
that Andy
relation.
Murray's there is great, because it's teamwork, it's camaraderie. It's great to see.
You only have to look at the way that the golfers are treating the Olympic golf to see that these really, really hugely well-rewarded sports people, they pretty much do what they like. So seeing Andy Murray there is not a given. It's a fantastic thing.
No, it's great. It's great to see. The other story, of course, was the cricket. And Alistair Cook really going on the front foot here and slamming naive English batsmen.
He's right,
really.
though.
Absolutely, for failing to get to grips, as my colleague Dean Wilson writes here in the Mirror, with Yasir Shah in their opening test defeat. I mean, the way they surrendered yesterday in the second innings was lamentable. I mean, Moeen Ali shot, I don't know whether you've seen that one.
Are you kidding me?
That was the worst of the lot.
I felt like
horrendous.
I don't live a million miles from Lords. I felt like running down there to remonstrate with him. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Well, he'd
Was
run
that the
halfway
turn-
down the wicket, so
Yeah,
he's
well,
halfway
I met
on the
him,
way
I
to
could have
your
met him. I
house.
could have met him. That's right. Now listen. The fact of the matter is, we know how the modern world works. The coaching they get, the psychological coaching they get, and the England players just will not stop using this phrase. We play our own brand of cricket. We do positive. So they think positive, they talk positive, they play positive. But in a game like cricket, there are times when you have to dig in. There just are. Same with football.
Yeah,
Come under
exactly.
pressure.
Well, you weather the storm, as they say.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And the England didn't try to weather the storm. They tried to knock their way out of it. And the Pakistanis must have thought, great, this is just what we
Didn't
need.
realise this, yeah.
Root's shot too was pretty rubbish, but
It was.
Ali's assault on the ball was just...
Yeah, and I also think he kind of threw it in just before tea, basically, and frankly, you just needed to ride out that storm, because that was the moment I thought that the Test match was lost.
Well, and
Really?
and I must admit, the early dismissal of Cook, because, of course, once the headmaster is dismissed, then they all just think we're just going to play a natural game now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, don't play a different kind of game. Try and win.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I do, look, it's always difficult to come out when Alistair Cook sort of, lambasts people and teammates here, because, frankly, he's one of the worst offenders, really. But it is a sort of a full-on thing. But, to allow Yasser to get 6 wickets when it wasn't turning, as Costa says, Cook, there was some naive batting facing different angles we don't normally see. We had a few poor shot selections. I was very disappointed with the first innings when we were about 100 runs light. Look, it's a Test match they should have won.
And they're off to India in the winter, where they'll face 3 or possibly 4 spinners per game. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get more from all the back pages of the newspapers with John Cross. You're listening to the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, coming up to 7:15. Well, I'm blaming you and your colleagues. There's just no football stories on the back of these newspapers today. What's the matter? Normally you just make them up, don't you?
Oh, that's a bit harsh. Save that for the season. Yeah, we are struggling a bit this morning. And look, there is one. Yeah, to be honest, there's a few tabloids without a single
amazing, isn't it?
Single football story on the back, really. Most making a sort of a token effort, really. But there's one actual decent story that really catches me on a back page this morning, which was a story on the back of the Express by Paul Joyce. The Express is Merseyside man. Liverpool want £20 million Georginio. They're targeting Newcastle's Georginio Wijnaldum, and it could cost £20 million. Dutch international, of course, and he's also been linked, of course, with Everton and Tottenham. But it sounds as if Liverpool's interest is very, very strong indeed, and they're trying to sort of move very quickly for it.
It's a very interesting one, Wijnaldum, isn't he? Because on paper, what he did last year at times for Newcastle was very good. He scored 11 goals, right? They were all at home, and 4 of them, I think, were against Norwich in one game. So then you suddenly look, he didn't score any goals away from home, and he's only got 7 in the remaining 30-odd games, whatever it is. He's one you can either look at and say that's a very impressive statistic, or you can say it's a weird statistic. Actually, I think he's a pretty decent player, but we'll see. The problem is Newcastle, having seen what players are going for, they're asking for 25 million for him. Sissoko looking for 30-odd million for him. These players got you relegated last year.
Yeah, that is a very fair point, really. Wijnaldum, I think, had very, very good patches last season for Newcastle.
Patches,
when
though.
He bombs, absolutely, when he bombs forward from midfield, dangerous attacking threat. I don't ever felt that they quite knew where to play him at times, because they, sometimes they play him a bit central and sometimes a bit wide. But anyway, I guess that was kind of also the predicament they were in. They're trying to find the right balance of the team, which was struggling badly. But look, Liverpool, you have to say at this point in time, they've done some decent business, haven't they?
Mane's good
Mane's a good one. Matip,
yep.
and a new goalkeeper, of course. And to be honest, they're looking linked with in this piece as well with a new centre half, the Estonian international Klavan, and basically they're suggesting that that comes in as because they're worried about Joe Gomez having a setback and also Sacco potentially missing.
John, who would you say out of all the clubs at the moment have done the best business? Would it be Manchester United or City?
City have done well, haven't they? I
Chelsea?
think as well. Yeah, absolutely. Gundogan, I think, is made for the Premier League. I think Man United, without doubt, have signed one of the most exciting players that I'm looking forward to. And Mkhitaryan, Zlatan is going to be a mega star, really. Chelsea, I think, moving swiftly on to sort of, their signing, N'Golo Kante, really talking this morning about why he left the champions for Chelsea, which is sort of trailed on the back of the Mirror this morning. Kante, speech from my new Chelsea boss, made up my mind and move. He says it is a great club which has just recruited a great coach. And wants to reach the high ambitions I share.
Do you think Fabregas will move on now? Because he was linked with Manchester United, with Jose last week.
Well, they could just as well go for Matic, Manchester United, couldn't they?
You can see Conte playing them 2 really tough centre midfielders, in Matic and probably Kante. Yeah. And does that leave any space for Fabregas in the number 10 role, maybe, or does he move on to?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. With that. I think they'd be crazy to lose Fabregas, don't you?
So
because
do I.
I just feel that Fabregas is still, even though he had I don't know, somewhat of an inconsistent season last
I don't
season.
think you can't play him as two central midfielders because
you
people
can't.
run
So
off
John,
him. He's not going to track back.
On Saturday night, when the Kante thing went through, I was asking the question, who was the last player to lead the champions, a proper first-team player, to lead the champions of England to go to a team that finished mid-table? The answer's in this room.
Yeah, I did. No, the thing, I was about 31, 32 though, Danny.
But you had played an unbeaten season at Arsenal.
The difference is I wasn't in my prime. Kante at 25, 26 is in his prime.
No, I'm just making a point. You were the answers in the quiz.
So, Ray, did you stand there? It was in Middlesbrough, wasn't it?
Well,
and basically scarf above the head saying, I've always dreamed of coming here.
Believe it or not, obviously
with Gaza.
I went back to Highbury the following season with Middlesbrough.
Booed onto the pitch, I hear.
And they were still on the unbeaten run, and we was 3-1 up in that game. And do you know when you're thinking,
I'll chuck this.
I scored 2 own goals in the end, Danny. But, you know.
The usual amount, then.
I got an assist for Bergkamp's winner. I got an assist for that.
Brilliant, did you?
But do you know when you want them to keep on their run, but I'm playing for the other team? It was a little bit awkward for me on that occasion, but I went to a really good side.
Don't worry, Wayne Rooney's dive over Sol Campbell for soon fix that.
Believe it or not, we got to the UEFA Cup final the following season. So, it was a very successful time. We come 7th in the league, which was good, into Europe, and they got to the final against Seville, which we lost 4-0 in the end. But to get Middlesbrough to the final UEFA Cup final, it was an amazing achievement for the club.
Yeah, it must have been so difficult to leave. And I don't know. You must know your time as well.
I mean, the thing for my reason was I wasn't going to play as much football because we just talked about him, a young Cesc Fabregas coming through the ranks,
right?
And he was probably going to be an unbelievable star at Arsenal, and Arsene Wenger wanted to push him in a bit more, and I couldn't train all week and sit on the side at the weekend or sit in the stand. That wasn't me because I would have end up going out too much and going out with Alan Brazil and.
Ray, what did you miss most about Arsenal? The Gunners or the Bank of Friendship?
I think they're
pubs.
To be fair, their takings definitely went down in the Bank of Friendship.
I bet they did.
I love it. The thing about this Kante thing is, look, no one really blames him. He's gone from Leicester to Chelsea. It is what it is. Yeah. But to talk about ambition, I'm sorry, but most people will find that difficult one to swallow.
What would he do, Mahrez?
Well,
Star in one of the papers.
Yeah, Mahrez on the back of the Star. Dave Armitage, their Midlands man, saying that Leicester are confident Mahrez won't be following Kante out the door. Chelsea have been linked with him. Arsenal and Man City as well. He says here, but they're confident that they'll keep him to a new contract, having offered him £100,000 a week. Look,
John, after you said they'd get relegated last season, how do you think they'll do next season?
I think they will finish every position in the league, Ray, from 1 to 20. That's going to be my predicted table, so I can't get it wrong again.
When we get nearer the season, people will be listening to your predictions very well. The clubs who you're saying being relegated go, that's us in the top 4.
Yeah, the Premier League put on a race night each year, and sort of they ask the journalists who go to do their predicted Premier League tables, and then I was bold enough, shall we say, to put it on Twitter, and I spent all season regretting it. Frankly, I'm away for their Premier League race night this year, which is probably a good thing because I won't be able to
terrible news for punters.
So who's going to win the league next year, John? Who would you go for at the moment?
Absolutely no idea. It's the most open and exciting title race, let alone battle for top 4, that I can remember. But look, I do think that United have recruited well. I think it'll be between the two Manchester clubs. I do. I think that Chelsea, will be back in the mix. You have to say, if Spurs carry on doing some good business, then they'll be pushing for top 4. Can't see Arsenal